Starting a business and starting my entrepreneurial journey has taught me a lot. And today I'm just going to be sharing 5 of the key lessons I've learned so far when it comes to my journey into entrepreneurship and my journey building the business I currently have. If you don't know who I am, I'm Daniel Stewart. This is a new channel I've started just to share what's going on, share the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, and share a little bit about me, my hobbies, and my writing, etc. But let's get right into it. First lesson is you'll learn it pretty fast if you just start. You have to embrace failure. Failure is part of the process. Oftentimes, many of us, we haven't quite learned to embrace failure when we first come out of high school per se, or if you're in college, or even later in your life. It's a pretty big process to actually figure it out and realize that failure is part of the process of learning. Failure is ultimately the ultimate teacher. Most of the time, people think that their new entrepreneurial journey will be just a straight path. They think that it'll just be win, 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 when it's really fail, 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 win. So instead of that guy, it's more like this. Ultimately, you are moving towards your goals, but there's all these failures here. And those are really where the magic happens. That's where you rebound and the velocity towards your goals is increased and you progress, you learn. I believe one of the main thing that's stopping a lot of people when it comes to failure is the fear of failure. It's the biggest fear when it comes to people starting their journey. People are scared of ultimately whether or not they will fail and what people will think of them if they do fail. What I really learned is that you want to fail fast, but learn faster. Second lesson I've taken away from my journey so far is you have to prioritize your time. Make the most out of it. I've mentioned in the 2 earlier videos I've made so far that I like watches. One of the reasons I like watches is because it's a reminder to me that the number one currency in this world, it isn't gold, it isn't silver, it isn't Bitcoin, it isn't the US dollar, it is ultimately time. So for a visual representation, this will be a very rough whiteboard today. You have to imagine this is your calendar. When I first started this journey, I didn't have a calendar set up. I didn't have anything scheduled. I didn't have any sort of framework for how I want to schedule my day or schedule my workload. But ultimately, it's almost a necessity at this point to have stuff on my calendar because I almost need to just remember it. And how I schedule content, emails, etc., networking events go on there. And ultimately, like I mentioned, time is the ultimate currency. It's up to you, just like money, it's up to you to figure out how do you want to spend it. Next lesson I've learned so far is, especially as a creative person, you have to know when to say no. There'll be all these opportunities that come your way when you'll be thinking of new business ideas, new things you want to jump into, whether it's you've started this new business, but let's say a month in, you think of this other business. Let's say this is B1, and you've done B1 for about a month. You're pushing towards it. Your passion for it is dwindling a little bit. It's going down because starting out is always the hardest. But as you're trying to build B1, your brain's constantly telling you of all these different other business ideas that you could pursue. Maybe you could even try pursuing it at the same time as B1, is what your brain's telling you. But ultimately, you have to figure out, and what I've learned, you have to figure out how to say no to those. Those are distractions, and you have to figure out how to focus on the one thing, or one thing at a time, one source of revenue, one source of purpose, one source of business. You have to stick to your core goals. And that is why goals themselves are so important, because you can look back to them. Fourth thing I've learned, networking. I do most of it online. You should probably make I don't know how I was going to represent that, a LinkedIn account. Make a profile, take a professional photo, and connect with, I don't want to do that. Connect with like-minded people, connect with business owners, go try and chat to them on there. Some of them might get annoyed, but that's part of the process. Go build your network, go build your personal brand on not even LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, whatever. Go try and meet with other people. This YouTube channel is another a route that I'm trying to take to network with entrepreneurs as well. And another thing I do, I'm in Ottawa, Canada here. I go Google search, networking events, business networking events. We have a startup accelerator program called Invest Ottawa, and they host a lot of events in the area here. And I try to go to as many as I can to meet new people and just to have knowledgeable chats, learn something from people who are at a place that I want to be. And ultimately, connections equal opportunities. How many people you know? They'll know stuff that you don't. You'll know stuff that they don't. And that is the beauty of the relationships you can create. Last lesson I've learned is, especially in the startup scene, is, well, I'll give a visual example first. So most people think they'll have their business idea, their BI, and it's solving some sort of problem. And they think that ultimately they'll take their initial idea, they'll probably make some sort of product or service, PS. They'll make a product or service that they can connect to either customers or businesses, B2B or B2C. And that first product they'll make will be the one that'll make them $1 million or $1 billion. But in almost all cases, especially with some of the most successful companies out there, is that this product or service will become a different product or service once they've changed it based on customer feedback or feedback from businesses, feedback from users, and ultimately at almost all points, their product or service becomes almost unrecognizable. It becomes something completely different because they had to change it in order to meet their clients' needs in order to actually find a spot in the market. And this final lesson is that adaptability is crucial. You have to be light on your toes. You have to be able to move on to the next thing as soon as it comes. You have to be flexible and stay open to pivoting when necessary. And you have to be able to adapt to your customers' needs or to your market's needs. And that was the last lesson I have for today. Maybe we'll do a future one with more, probably a little bit down the line once I figure out what else I can learn. But I hope that you've gotten some value out of this video. Ultimately, these videos are to help you and to connect with you and help you along your either new entrepreneurial journey, or just to remind you that there's other people out there experiencing the same struggles, learning the same things, and just keep going. To sum, lesson 1 is embrace failure. Lesson 2 is prioritize time management. Lesson 3, know when to say no. Lesson 4, networking is key. And lesson 5 is adaptability is crucial. These are just things I've learned along my journey so far. Maybe you've learned something else, but let me know in the comments if any of these have resonated with you, or ultimately if you're just starting out your journey. Just send me a message and I'll speak more upon my experience so far. But I'll see you next week.